You guys are watching the Cam Rogers Show on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. We thank you for coming along for the ride here. So those were the latest NFL rumors. Here are the big-time NFL matchups this week. I'm picking all the games for you guys. I'm back from the future. I have the answer key to all of the games, so let's do it. Miami and Chicago, first one on the board. Our friends at BetDSI have the Bears as the favorite, -3.5 against the Dolphins here, with an over-under set at 41.5. Ryan Tannehill is not playing good football right now, folks. Through 5 weeks, he has a 6.2 turnover-worthy play percentage, and that's an advanced stat on Pro Football Focus, which ranks 36th among all qualifying quarterbacks in the NFL. He's 29th in big play percentage. You think they miss Jarvis Landry? And he's 32nd in terms of overall grade at the quarterback position on Pro Football Focus, 54 overall grade. The good news for the Dolphins is that they have a good secondary right now. It's actually been pretty darn solid and surprising to me, allowing the third lowest passer rating only behind the Ravens and the Browns so far this year. Mitchell Trubisky going to have his work cut out for him, but he has actually been getting off to really good starts, especially in the first quarter. His passer rating, 133.9 in the first quarter so far this year. So Mitchell Trubisky getting it done for the Chicago Bears, at least in terms of fast starts. And then I'm looking at the offensive line for the Chicago Bears as well. One of the best in terms of pass protection. The offensive line ranks first in pass blocking efficiency so far this season, going up against the likes of Godchaw and Cameron Wake. That's a challenging task if you are the offensive line for the Chicago Bears, but I think they are up to the task here. And you got Charles Leno at left tackle, Cody White here at center, Kyle Long playing well at guard as well. So I like that offensive line for the Chicago Bears. Coming off the bye week, by the way. They're well rested, playing in Miami. Some key players I'm tracking here for the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky, of course, at the quarterback position. Khalil Mack, perhaps the best defender in the NFL. And then Eddie Jackson is having a great season at safety. He's probably going to go to the Pro Bowl, having a really good year creating turnovers. Miami side of things. Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. I've got Juwan James at right tackle because watch out, Khalil Mack is coming. And Juwan James is not going to be able to block Mack one-on-one. He's going to need some help from Kenyon Drake, maybe get some chip blocks going on from the tight ends too. I don't know, but Miami better plan for at least giving Juwan James some sort of help here. Xavier Howard at the cornerback position, having a really good year so far for the Miami Dolphins secondary, a secondary, like I said, that is performing really well so far this year. So Howard is likely going to be up against Allen Robinson in the passing game. So that's going to be a fun matchup. Robinson, a good wide receiver, and Xavier Howard, good cornerback. All right, so who is going to win this game? I've got the Chicago Bears, 29-20, your final score. Miami's offensive line is depleted. Not a big fan of the offense altogether. I don't think they're very explosive. Give me Chicago. This is a Bears team that will be in the playoff conversation throughout the year. All right, big matchup here out of the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals. The key in this game is the Steelers' offensive line versus the Bengals' front seven. The Steelers' offensive line has allowed pressure on only 24.8% of dropbacks, the second lowest rate in the league. And if you want to take a look at a matchup within the matchup here, Geno Atkins against guard David DeCastro, going to be a lot of fun there. All right, so watch out for that on the offensive line. You have the Bengals' front seven, which has the fourth-ranked pass rushing unit in the NFL. So it's strength against strength here in terms of pass protection and pass rushing ability for the Steelers and Bengals respectively. Andy Dalton, meanwhile, having a solid year so far. He should have success against a Steelers secondary that is just not very good. They have gotten burned on the deep ball week in and week out. So Dalton is a key player for me. Cordy Glenn at left tackle because he is going up against likely Cameron Hayward. And Hayward is having a really good season so far, coming around the edge and also on the interior. They like to move Hayward around there on that defensive line. And then William Jackson, who had one of the best seasons for a cornerback last year, still playing really well this year. guess who he has likely on the outside? Antonio Brown. So watch out for that. Very key matchup there. James Conner, meanwhile, actually performing better this year than Le'Veon Bell was last year in terms of yards after contact and missed tackles per game. So Ben Roethlisberger has gotten some help in terms of the running back position. But obviously, Roethlisberger, historically speaking, has been very good against the Cincinnati Bengals. Typically, the Steelers don't lose to Cincinnati. They'll lose to Baltimore here and there. But Cincinnati is a team that the Steelers have owned during the Marvin Lewis era here. Antonio Brown, another key wide receiver I am tracking here. Cameron Hayward on the defensive line. Talked about him a little bit. Having a really good season. He ranked 8th among interior defenders with 18 quarterback pressures after week 5. We'll see if he can continue that momentum here. Cincinnati is the favorite at home on BetDSI -2. It's basically a pick'em game at that point because I don't think this game is going to be very close in my eyes. I actually have the Pittsburgh Steelers winning the football game more so than the -2, 31-28. I'll give Cincinnati some garbage time points there, but I think the Steelers are going to dominate in this game. I think Pittsburgh owns Cincinnati, and they're going to use that history to kind of give them some confidence. I think the Steelers are a better team than what their record indicates, and I actually think Cincinnati is a worse team than what its record indicates. So give me Pittsburgh on the road in the jungle, taking down the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you agree? Disagree? Go ahead. Put some action on it, ladies and gentlemen, in my NFL Pick'em game. Very easy to play. It is free, and if you finish in first place, you're getting $25 right out of my back pocket. All right, so I want you guys to DM me on Twitter or on my Facebook page, The Cam Rogers Show. All the details in the comments section for my fantastic production team that will get that going for you guys. DM me, and then I will give you the directions in terms of signing up for my NFL Pick'em game, and you can challenge me week in and week out. I give shout-outs to whomever comes in first place every week, so all that good stuff, very simple. DM me, and then I'll give you the directions in terms of how you can play in my game. All right, so I have Pittsburgh taking down Cincinnati. Let's talk about Carolina and Washington this week. So this is a very difficult matchup for me. The Redskins, number one, need to just burn the tape from that game against New Orleans on Monday Night Football. There was no way they were going to win that game with Breeze chasing history and all that. So just forget about that matchup. Coming off the short week, taking on a Carolina team that has looked pretty darn good so far this year. Christian McCaffrey has been great. The Panthers are 3-1 so far this year. I don't know who Washington is yet, but I think this is a winnable game for them. But they need some help at the wide receiver position. The wide receiver group is averaging 2.68 yards per route run, which ranks 30th among all offenses so far this year. Jamison Crowder, Paul Richardson, Josh Dotson, these guys got to step up. Meanwhile, you have Adrian Peterson, one of my key players this week for the Washington Redskins. They have to feed him the rock. And then Alex Smith off the play action to Dotson or Crowder and Richardson. And then I've got DJ Swearinger at safety, who's having a really good year so far in 2018. He's got to make some plays against Cam Newton and the wide receivers for the Carolina Panthers. Now, Newton, meanwhile, I would think should be successful in this football game. You look at the secondary for Washington, it's not all that great outside of Swearinger at safety. Josh Norman, boy of the mighty have fallen here. His passer rating allowed right now is 156.3. That ranks, guys, 109th out of 110 qualifying cornerbacks in the NFL. Absolutely stunning to me. So I got Nunez as a key player there for Carolina, Christian McCaffrey at the running back position, the leading receiver and the leading rusher. Then you got K'Wan Short at defensive tackle. He is having a great year on the interior of that defensive line for the Panthers. Like I said, one of the more difficult games to predict this week, and I'm going Washington, but I don't feel great about it, guys. If you're betting on this game, please don't. Bet somewhere else because this is just a gross game that really I want no part of. But Carolina, potential playoff team. Maybe Washington can win the NFC East. We'll see. I got the Redskins 27-24. Like I said, don't feel great about it, though. All right, let's go to the Rams and the Broncos. Another key game here. The Rams are the favorite by 7. The Rams are not going undefeated, guys. They're going to lose at some point. They almost did last week to Seattle, and we know how hard it is to play at Mile High. Yes, the Broncos looked like a pathetic team against the New York Jets a week ago, but I think Denver finds its mojo in this matchup here. They have to. There's too much talent on that offense and on that defense, for that matter, for them to lose yet another game and go to 2-4. And like I said, the Rams are going to slip up somewhere. And it could be against an AFC team on the road that may not matter all that much in terms of the long-term hopes for the Rams this season. So Von Miller, chasing some interesting history here, needs 2.5 sacks to become the 4th player to have at least 90 sacks in his first 110 career games since 1982. The others are Reggie White, DeMarcus Ware, and Bruce Smith. That's pretty darn good company there. So Von Miller, watch for him to be a factor in this game. A little extra motivation for him against an offensive line for the LA Rams that is probably the best in the NFL right now. I give those guys a lot of credit. They're protecting Jared Goff, and they're creating some running lanes for Todd Gurley. So for Denver here, I'm taking a look at Case Keenum. There are some rumblings out there that the locker room is not all that enthused with Case Keenum right now, and honestly, that's not surprising to me. I got Matt Paradise at center. Big reason why is because he is going up against Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. Paradise is having a good year at center, but this is his toughest matchup yet against 2 of the elite interior defenders so far this year, and Von Miller, I talked about him as well. Meanwhile, with Todd Gurley, if he gets a touchdown against the Denver Broncos, Gurley can become the 4th player in NFL history with at least 3,500 rushing yards, 1,500 receiving yards, and 45 touchdowns through his first 50 career games. The others, Chuck Foreman, Arian Foster, and Marcus Allen, Hall of Famer. So we'll see if Gurley can get a touchdown this week. Jared Goff, of course, a guy I am tracking at the quarterback position. Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. Those 2 versus Matt Paradise on the line of scrimmage. Very fun matchup to watch for. All right, so who is going to win the football game? I actually think the LA Rams slip up here. Give me the Denver Broncos to get the victory, 28-27. Tight game. But go ahead and hammer away with the Denver Broncos on BetDSI. I think this is a game that Denver finds its mojo back at home. They got the crowd, all that good stuff. LA slips up. All right, let's talk about Dallas and Jacksonville now. So this is a late window game. Tony Romo will be on the call along with Jim Nantz. The Cowboys are 2-3 so far this year. The Jaguars 3-2, coming off an embarrassing loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, but a loss that was not unexpected. I mean, the Chiefs are an explosive team, and the Jaguars were playing on the road and all of that. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys becoming quite the conundrum so far this year. You just don't know what you're going to get from Dallas. But as you see on your screen, the Cowboys are scoring just 16.6 points per game. That's bad. So now they're going up against one of the better scoring defenses in the NFL in the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just don't know how Dallas is going to score any points whatsoever outside of maybe feeding Zeke 45 times. Meanwhile, Blake Bortles, he can become the 5th player in NFL history with at least 375 passing yards in 3 consecutive games. So give it up for Blake Bortles. Even if some of those yards are coming in garbage time, they are, especially last week. Hey, some history is history here for Blake Bortles. All right, so key players for the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. Calais Campbell and Yannick Ngakoue on the defensive side, and then TJ Yeldon on the offensive side. Campbell and Ngakoue are one of the best pairings on the defensive line in the NFL. They have been great in terms of rushing the passer so far this season. And then TJ Yeldon is a focus guy for me because, well, he's going to be starting at running back. He's going to be getting much of the volume this week, especially with Leonard Fournette out. So Yeldon will be the top line guy to probably make that offense go for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Meanwhile, for Dallas, all eyes on Ezekiel Elliott. This cannot be Dak Prescott throwing the football 35 times and the Jacksonville Jaguars teeing off on him. Cannot. This has to go for Dallas's game plan, and that's running the football with Ezekiel Elliott and gashing that defense and wearing that defense down. So by the time the fourth quarter comes around, Calais Campbell, Dante Fowler, Malik Jackson, all these players on that front seven for Jacksonville are tired, are gassed, and that's when the offensive line can really take off. So La'el Collins at right tackle, Tyron Smith at left tackle, those guys are going to have their hands full against Campbell and Yannick Ngakoue. All right, so keep an eye on those guys there. The Jaguars are the favorite by 3 in this game. How about the over-under? 40.5. Go with the under if you go by my score prediction. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars winning this football game 20-19. I think it's going to be gross, not very pretty, and then in the end, the Jaguars win. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans. Ugh. Guys, I don't feel good about this. I really don't. The Ravens coming off a loss against the Cleveland Browns. Historically, John Harbaugh has not been very good against the Tennessee Titans, 1-3 in his career. Real quick, let's go to the key players for Baltimore. Joe Flacco ranks 5th in the NFL with 139 completions and has completed at least 25 passes in each of his past 8 games. Alex Lewis at left guard going up against Jarrell Casey. That'll be a fun matchup. C.J. Mosley at linebacker as well for Baltimore. Meanwhile, Tennessee, Marcus Mariota. Who is this guy? I don't know who Mariota is at the quarterback position. He needs to really make that next step. I don't know if it can happen against Baltimore. Taylor Lewan at left tackle. Watch out because Terrell Suggs is coming, but Lewan, one of the better tackles in the NFL. And then Jarrell Casey, having a great season at defensive tackle. All right, so who's going to win this game? I'll take the Baltimore Ravens, but again, kind of like Washington and Carolina, don't feel great about it. 24-20. The Ravens are the better football team, so they should win this game, but I don't know if they will. Sometimes they play down to their competition on the road. We'll see. We have a Sunday night duel between the New England Patriots and Kansas City Chiefs, and historically speaking, the Chiefs have gotten the better of the Patriots, especially if you go back to that opener last year, and that was in Foxborough, by the way. This one is as well. The Chiefs scoring 35 points per game. They have been electric with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and all these guys. Meanwhile, with the New England Patriots, they were 2-2. They're now 3-2. They're fine. They're going to be a contender this year. They likely will be a top 2 seed in the AFC. This is perhaps a potential AFC championship preview. Now, Patrick Mahomes, can he go into Foxborough and beat the Patriots? Alex Smith has done it, but can Patrick Mahomes do it? Tyreek Hill at wide receiver, I'm tracking him. And then D Ford, having a really good year in terms of getting after the quarterback. For the Patriots, Tom Brady, of course, at the quarterback position, can become the first quarterback in league history to get 200 career regular season wins. He's at number 199. There's Manning at 186, and then Favre at 186 as well. Brady can be the only hitting that 200 mark. So I'm watching him. You saw James White on your screen as well. He's the leading receiver for the New England Patriots, and the guy's a running back. And then Julian Edelman at wide receiver too, back from suspension, has 1 game under his belt. Looking good so far this year, though. Looked good last week. By the way, if the Chiefs win, Patrick Mahomes would become the 6th quarterback since 1970 to win each of his first 7 career starts. Big Ben actually holds the record there with 15 consecutive wins to start a career. All right, the Patriots are the favorite, -3. I've got New England winning this game by more than that, 34-30, your final score. I don't think the Chiefs can waltz into Foxborough and beat New England again. I would be stunned. So give me the Patriots to win this game this week. All right, folks, you have been watching The Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday morning, 10 o'clock Eastern Time.